Okay guys, let's talk some... Okay guys, let's talk some battery stuff again. Alright, so this 12 volt battery, as far as I can see, there's nothing wrong with the battery. And the energy lost while parking is not being used by the battery or is not being charged into the battery. There's no evidence at all. I've tried everything. Apart from disconnecting. Okay, let's quickly summarize this. So what I've tried is I've measured the voltage while parking the car, and the voltage of the 12 volt battery goes up. From the beginning I turn off the car until probably 2 or 3 hours later the voltage goes up. And I thought this is a clear evidence that the battery gets charged. So I started investigating, as you all know. Watch the last 5 videos or so. For me, clearly the evidence was there. Something is happening with the 12 volt battery because the voltage is clearly rising. Yeah, I didn't know where this is actually coming from. So as I really started measuring the heck out of this 12 volt battery now. I've put my ampere meter in. I've still got the little diagram here. So I've put my ampere meter in the circuit of the 12 volt battery as well and measured what goes in and what comes out of the battery. And the ampere meter only showed me the discharge of the battery. There was no evidence of any charge while the car was parked. Of course, when I turned on the car, we had this massive current going into the battery. And of course, when I plugged in the charger, we had this. We had the battery gets charged as well, and that was expected. I mean, that's what everyone knows, that the battery gets only charged when the car is plugged in or when the car is turned on. So there was no evidence of any current going into the battery while the car is charged. I checked for a couple of hours and it was only the standby power of 45 milliamps or so all the time, and that was all. Yeah, and then we had the Christmas light situation when I hooked up all these H4 halogen lights and put some load on the 12 volt battery. I was trying to trigger a charge from the big drive battery because I thought maybe there's a certain threshold the 12 volt battery needs to get under to get a charge, but this wasn't the case either, so there was nothing happening. Yeah, I mean, and then I read all your comments, of course, and I got a message on Facebook via instant messenger as well from someone in Europe, and one person actually commented on one of my videos and said, Andy, have you ever checked how much energy is actually lost when you park, and how much energy would that be for the 12 volt battery? Does this somehow make sense at all? So if we have a look at the raw data of what's going on in the battery, let's say I'm losing 1 ampere hour. Where are we? Here. 1 ampere hour while parking. This one times 300 volts for the battery, for the drive battery. That would be 300 volt ampere hours. And of course this goes down to watts. So we've got 300 watt hours. So just if you are confused now, watt hours, this equals 0.3 kilowatt hour. So 300 watt hours are 0.3 kilowatt hours. So this is what we lose, 300 watt hours or 0.3 kilowatt hours while parking. So if we take this 300 watt hours and divide this by 12 for the 12 volt battery, so 300 divided by 12, this will be 25 ampere hours. So this would mean if I'm losing 1 ampere hour while parking and this energy would go into the 12 volt battery, it would get charged with 25 ampere hours. That's the same energy That's the same amount of energy coming from the drive battery and going into the 12-volt battery. So, and as we know, come on, focus. And as we all know, the 12-volt battery has a capacity of 50 ampere hours. There you can read the label, 50 ampere hours, 12 volt. So this would mean if I'm parking and I'm losing 1 ampere hour of the drive battery, it would charge 25 ampere hours into the 12-volt battery. And this is just not possible. This would mean the 12-volt battery is 50% state of charge only, so half empty or half full. And this is just not possible. There's no way to discharge the 12-volt system that much in that short amount of time. Let me explain that. Just in relation to the dome light has 3 amps, what we've measured, what you have seen in the other videos. So if I leave the dome light on for, say, 10 hours times 3 amps of the 12-volt battery, that would be 30 ampere hours. Yeah. So the amount I'm losing while parking is the same as if I leave the dome light on for 10 hours inside the car. That would be the amount of energy. That would be the amount of energy I'm losing while parking in terms of, or in relation to the 12-volt battery system. And this is just not possible. So this is another indication of there's nothing going on with the 12-volt battery. There's nothing going on with a 12-volt battery because the amount of energy lost while parking would be just too large to fit into the 12-volt battery. Okay, so that was a lot of explaining, wasn't it? I hope that makes sense. So I hope this all makes sense now. So the voltage goes up while parking of the 12-volt system, which looks like it's getting charged. There's no current going into the battery while parking. There's no threshold when we put a load on it while the car is parked, so there's no charge happening at all, and the amount of energy lost from the drive battery would be far too large to fit into the 12-volt battery in this short amount of time. So conclusion is there's definitely nothing wrong with the 12-volt system. Yeah, interesting is some of you guys have mentioned this in comments of my videos. And they were saying, look Andy, when you park your car and open your door, the dome light turns on, and this puts a load of 3 amps on the 12-volt system, so the voltage of course goes down. When you close the doors then, and this load goes away after a while, because the dome light stays only on for a couple of minutes and then turns off again. And the 12-volt battery has only the 45 milliamp of standby load for the central locking and alarm system maybe. I can't think of anything else which is powered while the car sleeps. So anyway, there's only this very, very small amount of current going out of the battery. And obviously the battery is with 50 ampere hours large enough to cope with this very tiny load, and the voltage is rising because the battery is not in use anymore and chemistries are settling down. The usual stuff, you know, what's happening with batteries when they rest. So yeah, I think we don't need to mention the 12-volt system anymore now. This should be fairly clear that there's nothing happening with a 12-volt battery. And I had lights on for hours and hours and hours, and the battery didn't go flat. It had still over 12.4 volts, even with a relative high or heavy load on it. So it looks like the battery is totally healthy. The 12-volt battery system is totally fine. So you were wrong. You didn't find it. You definitely put me on the wrong track. Okay, now I'm glad I've done all this measuring, so it taught me a lot. It probably taught you a lot as well, what's going on with the 12-volt system. And we are fairly clear that there's nothing happening while the car is parking. And as someone from the Netherlands told me, yeah, this guy sent me an IM on Facebook and said, Andy, there can't be anything happening with a 12-volt battery. It can't be charged because when you turn off the car, the battery management system goes to sleep as well. The car does not turn on the battery management system or the DC-DC converter while the car is asleep. There will be nothing happening on the 12-volt system in regards to any relations high voltage, low voltage battery system. I knew this before, but I couldn't quite understand why the voltage is rising in the 12 volt system. So I needed to do all this measuring. I needed to be sure it's not the 12 volt system. But I mean, guys, thanks for all your comments and all your suggestions and assumptions and everything you commented on Facebook and on YouTube, and thanks for all your messages and emails. There is a lot of help out there, and yeah, guys, again, thanks so much for everything and for your help and thinking out of the box, trying to help me to find the problem with the lost energy while parking, which we still haven't solved yet. There will be more measuring happening in the very near future. I think I will do it right now, but this will be part of another video, because I've already started another little measuring project with the PHEV, because I need to find out what's going on. I need to find out what is happening with this lost energy while parking. We are talking about 0.3 kilowatt hours, which just goes while you are parking. And of course, why is this happening? And we have several people now which came forward and said, Andy, my car is losing energy as well. With the help of all your videos, I actually paid attention to it while the car was parking and took some notes, and they are losing energy as well. So it's not a specific problem with my car apparently. And as far as I can remember, all of these cars were 2014 models. So we are very, very close to conclude this might be a software problem. It's a real shame we can't read out the software version of the ECU software. I have only this note from the workshop when they did the battery cell smoothing, or when they did the update actually. There was the recall thingy, and they mentioned the version, the old one and the new one they put on the workshop sheet. I showed you this in the video somewhere there or where. So I've got my software version, but I cannot find this version anywhere in the MMCS. So it's a really, yeah, we need to hook it up to run. Yeah, usually you need to hook up the car to a workshop computer, to an MUT3 unit to read out this version. I just thought if Daniel maybe is able to retrieve this information for us from through the PHEV watchdog. I'm not sure this is possible. I'll ask him. That would be an awesome feature, and then we can read out all the software versions we have on the computer, on the car, and compare them and see with which software version it's happening and what software versions are fine. And we still don't know what kind of software versions the other cars have, so 2015, 16, 17 and 18. I would assume they have updated the software as well for the ECU and put some better algorithm, hopefully, in these cars. I mean, if this is a software problem, and oh my god, I mean, this would be so poor. I cannot imagine that I am the only person in the world which pays attention to the kilometers when I leave the car and when I come back, and nobody else is wondering about this. I mean, of course, if you just drive the car and don't give a shit, well, that's the case then. Okay, so I keep on measuring and let you know what the outcome is. I need to find out what's going on, of course, and I'll let you know. Okay, then that's enough for a long quickie again. Thanks for watching, guys, and we see you in the next video. Okay, see you soon. Bye bye.